Chapter 1-1. A young man with black hair and yellow eyes comes to his senses. A beautiful girl looms over him. She's wearing only a house dress. A representative of the fair sex leans over the guy, noticing that he has woken up. Her eyes sparkle with impatience. She's going to be disappointed. The brunette gets out from under the insidious seductress with one quick jerk, breaking the distance by as much as 3 meters. And yes, all he's wearing is a pair of duck shorts. The beauty lights a cigarette without even getting out of bed. She only takes a sitting position to communicate face to face with the other person. The girl is a little surprised that the effect of the drug ended so quickly, but then she just laughs, noting that this is even better. The hero is in shock, not understanding what is happening. Then, abruptly, he thinks that he has been reborn, looking at the smoking companion, who very seductively put one leg on top of the other. He screams in realization, clutching his head. It turns out that the hero's journey began a long time ago. 300 years ago, he accidentally entered the fairy world on Mount Qingcheng, and after that, he began his cultivation journey. A powerful bolt of lightning struck the center of the circle, symbolizing the balance of life and death energies yin and yang. The hero was hovering over this place at the same time. At that time, he was wearing a white cloak, under which was the usual clothes of a traveler. On his back was a beautiful sword that shimmered with yellow energy. During these 300 years, the guy had worked hard to find knowledge, training day and night, becoming a swordsman cultivator. The path of the hero was very difficult, but when he still managed to reach the peak of cultivation, he was slightly disappointed. He did not reach the realm of eternity, but instead opened the corridor of space and time, returning to Earth when he was 17 years old. Realizing what is happening now, the guy turns his gaze to the girl who is in no hurry to do anything, waiting for him on the bed. The most amazing thing is that the hero does not know who this woman is. A representative of the fair sex, seeing the strange state of her partner, decides to call him to her, claiming that he should not be shy. At the same time, she calls him cute. The guy puts on a robe, saying that, apparently, they do not understand each other a little. He tells her that he's leaving. After these words, the girl abruptly jumped out of bed, repeating the words about leaving. She notices that her partner wants to leave without asking her permission. She understands that her name is Yichengxi, and that the guy is very wrong if he thinks that she will just let him go. The girl also claims that another problem of the interlocutor is that he saw her in these clothes. A representative of the fair sex begins to gradually reduce the distance with a cigarette in her hands. When Yichengxi comes within arm's reach, the hero abruptly turns on the spot, starting to move towards the exit. The girl strongly dislikes this behavior of the guy, but she does nothing, only carefully observing his actions. The hero looks over his shoulder at the interlocutor, because he feels such a gaze on the back of his head. Putting a cigarette in her mouth, the representative of the fair sex sharply grabs the guy with her palm by the wrist. This surprises the latter a little, but he is not lost. He grabs her wrist with his free hand, trying to break free of her grip. The confrontation between the two forces begins. This phenomenon is perplexing to Yichengxi. She clearly wasn't prepared for this. The hero mentally curses, noting that there is no energy in his young body at all. The strength quickly runs out, which is why the guy loses the ability to resist. A powerful burst of energy pushes him away from the girl. The guy confidently coordinates his actions in flight, so that he manages to land calmly and painlessly on the floor. Then he notices that his school uniform is hanging on a hanger. This gives him another sign that he really should go. The hero quickly grabs his clothes, then at the speed of a bullet flies out of the apartment. Yichengxi arrives at a loss as to what to do. A representative of the fair sex takes a puff of tobacco smoke, mentally noting that the guy may have evaded her impulse. The girl is more excited by this cat and mouse game, because for some reason she is sure that the guy will not be able to escape from her. She already believes that Chu King is her big white rabbit, so she can't let him go. Meanwhile, the hero finds himself on the street. He hadn't noticed that he was running barefoot. His foot hits the hard asphalt, and he finally realizes that he's back on the ground. There are a lot of glowing signs around, and passers-by pass by without even noticing the guy who was only in one dressing gown on the street. Chu King raises his head to the sky, which is partially covered by high-rise buildings. The weather is sunny outside, and people are rushing about their business. A smile appears on the hero's face. Anticipation builds inside. He realizes that after 300 years, he has finally returned to Earth. His smile came from the fact that today he would finally be able to see his father, mother, and brother again. Then he hears a young couple talking nearby. A representative of the fair sex with bright red hair declares that all men are really troublesome. She notices that her man started crying from just buying a bag. She doesn't understand it at all. It doesn't suit the brunette, who continues to sob, so the girl assures him that she will buy this bag for him today, so he shouldn't cry. It really calms the kid down. The brunette literally runs into the fair sex with a hug, noting that she is very kind. The hero watches this couple, not understanding at all what is happening. The scene makes him lose his concentration for a few moments. Then he is gently moved to the side by a man's hand, the owner of which claims that the baby should move aside and not block the road. A huge beefy girl in a work uniform is carrying 2 bags of cement. She towers 2 heads above the hero, who is thrown into a stupor by this. He watches where the fair sex is moving, after which he realizes with horror that there is a road repair going on, which was taken up exclusively by girls. Chu King is startled by what is happening. He starts to wonder what the hell happened here, because people are so different from when he disappeared. He begins to assess the situation, realizing that almost all the work is done by the fair sex. They carry heavy loads, repair roads, work as taxi drivers, and protect the rights of citizens as members of the police. Because of this picture, the guy's lips twitched. A mysterious smile appeared on her face. Chapter 1-2. To understand all the changes in the surrounding society and the world as a whole, the hero sends to the only place where he can get this knowledge without burning himself. This place, of course, is the library. Chu King picks up a mountain of books, walking straight into the city library. It turns out that in ancient times, in the spring and autumn period, a catastrophe occurred that changed the physical condition of women and made them smart and strong. The book tells the story of a woman named Kongmo, who was born in that very year and raised Confucianism to respect women more than men. This change in imperial power caused the emperor to hand over his throne to the princess instead of the prince. In the 21st century, under the influence of modern changes, the concept of changing the attitude of women to men arises, although the idea of women's superiority over men still exists. When a man is married and if he wants to get a divorce, then the wife cannot give a divorce. In this world, it is normal for a woman to woo a man. After reading the book, Chu King closes it, starting to reflect on the current situation. He thinks it's really funny. Women are superior to men. Women even ask for the hand of men. This sounds like a complete absurdity. He is aware that he will now have to accept the new rules in the world, but he does not know if his home exists here. The guy goes back to the place, which was considered home until his disappearance. He notices a man sweeping the floor. This person is wearing house clothes, as well as a pink apron with flowers. The man also notices the guy. Chu King's eyes sparkle with joy. The hero takes off, hugging his father. His name is Yuan Tu Lin. He immediately clarifies whether his son did not say that he would go to school, and then immediately go home. The father sniffs at the smell of the hero's hair. Then he realizes with horror that it's a perfume. He shivers at the thought. Yuan Tu Lin takes his son by the shoulders, asking if he has ever met a girl. Without waiting for an answer, he notices that he has already said many times that it is dangerous for a beautiful guy like him to walk. The man claims that even if it was his classmate, he always needs to be on the lookout. Kai King is unsettled by his father's unusual behavior, so he continues to just listen to him. A man picks up a newspaper that has quite funny news. Yuan Tu Lin immediately tells how a 15-year-old boy confided in his classmates, and they raped him and recorded everything on camera, after which they distributed the video. The father notices that there is no future for such a boy. This news introduces an even greater stupor to the hero, who clearly did not expect something like this. Seeing the surprised look in his son's eyes, the man continues his speech, noticing that the guy finally understands how scary it is. After that, Yuan Tu Lin switches to his daughter, who, according to him, always played a fool, because of which she dropped out in the 3rd year of university and could not get a job after that. And now she is sitting at home, and they no longer expect anything from her, but they have with their mother a son that they have high hopes for, so he should go to a good university. Yuan Tu Lin notes that his son is still very young, so he asks that he not let bad women deceive him in the future. Chu King raises his hands for change, saying that he understands everything perfectly, so his father doesn't have to worry about it. In order not to continue this topic, the hero takes the conversation in a different direction, asking about where mom is. Yuan Tu Lin exhales heavily, stating that his mother is still discussing her business with the other people outside. The man notices that things are not going well right now, and the woman herself is in a difficult situation. Seeing that it's hard for his father to talk about this, the guy notices that it's already time for dinner, so he's going to call his sister. This surprises Yuan Tu Lin a little, but he agrees with it. The hero goes up to the 2nd floor and goes to the door that should lead to the sister's room. He gives the door handle a gentle tug, then opens it a crack to look inside. My sister, on the other hand, is sitting in her headphones, all red and giggling in an unusual way. Chapter 1-3. The hero's sister is called Chu Zio. She's sitting on a chair in her shirt sleeves. On the table is a laptop, on which she looks at naked men's photos and some messenger. Aloud, the girl notices that this is good or bad, but he knows how to release her lust and quickly take off her panties. She offers a stranger a gift, claiming that money is not a problem. Next to the laptop on the table is a stack of napkins, some of which have already been used. Chu King closes the door with a startled look. not sure how to react at all. Sheep jump in the hero's head. What he's seeing now seems so crazy that he's starting to think it's a dream. He shouts very loudly, apparently to recover from the shock. Chuzayo jumps up in his chair at the sudden sound. She collapses next to him, not knowing what the hell is going on. The hero's sister takes off her earpiece and leaves the room. It's clear from her face that she's still flying around in her wild fantasies. Chu King sees this clearly. In addition, a representative of the fair sex left her room only in one shirt, which somehow hides her intimate areas. The hero tells his sister that she should hurry up, because it's time to eat. He is also interested in, was she watching an adult video in her room just now? Chuzayo says that this is not a good thing, so now it's time for live broadcasts. She notices that it was just a handsome man with a hot body, but looking at him, she already received such a huge pleasure that words cannot express it. Then the nurse comes to her senses abruptly, realizing that she is still talking to the schoolboy. She says it's too early for little kids like him to know, humming some melody and stretching her neck from sitting at the laptop for a long time. The sister goes to the kitchen, no longer paying attention to the hero. What he hears causes a small laugh from the guy, because he is not used to being pointed out to him about his age. The hero and his father are sitting in the kitchen. Yuan-Tu-Lin peels an apple while slicing it into slices. The guy eats them. At this time, Chuzayo walks into the kitchen. She is already dressed in a charming black dress that accentuates her figure. She says she's having dinner with friends tonight and will be back late. Also, a representative of the fair sex asks her father to give her 1,000 yuan. The father, without looking up from peeling apples, specifies what they will do there. Chuzayo claims that her friends suggest that she start a business together, so she goes to discuss everything with them. Yuan-Tu-Lin looks angry, because he knows that his daughter is probably lying, but he decides to trust her. The man says that the daughter should take an example from her brother, because if she was at least half the same as her brother, then they would not worry with her mother. After receiving the money she wants, Chuzayo doesn't understand why she should take an example from her brother, because he is just a man who can still marry a rich woman, but she has to take care of herself, so mom and dad should support her in the future. After that, the nurse informs that she is leaving. It turns out that she took the wallet and took out the money herself. Yuan-Tu-Lin asks her daughter not to spend everything at once and save some money. He notices that his daughter should not think that her mother earns money so easily, so he urges her not to waste everything. When Chuzayo leaves, the hero still decides to ask his father if it's okay for him to let her go so easily. My father doesn't know what else he can do. His argument is based on the fact that his sister is a girl, so he just can't tie her to the house as well as his. He explains that a woman should look for work, but his sister is set up differently. After that, Yuan-Tu-Lin asks her son to forget about it, claiming that as long as she doesn't go limitless, she will be fine. The hero almost choked on these words, realizing that this is a completely opposite world. Then he hears strange noises outside the front door. A woman in formal clothes pulls the handle as she enters the house. She closes her eyes with fatigue. She almost falls asleep on the move. This is the hero's mother. Her name is Chu Tianan. The guy from the doorway hugs his mother. Chapter 1-4. The woman immediately draws attention to the unusual behavior of her son. She asks what happened to him, then assumes that he doesn't have enough pocket money. The woman takes out a few bills and passes them to her son, then begins a conversation with her husband. Chu Kin steps aside with a dejected look. In his mind's eye, he notices that mom used to be a stingy person, so he often even cheated her out of 10 yuan to go to an internet cafe and play games. But now mom is willing to give him money. The hero extends his hand with the money back to his mother, stating that he does not need it. Chu Tianan claims that his son is a stupid child, so he just needs to keep the money to himself. She emphasizes that even though their family is going through difficult times, it will not affect him because his academic performance is the best reward for her. After that, the woman immediately decides to find out where Chuzayo is. Yuan-Tu-Lin, pouring water from a jug into a glass, claims that he doesn't want to talk about it, but this girl does whatever she wants. A man hands his wife a glass of water, while she says with understanding that her daughter is still fooling around. The woman notes that she did not raise her for this, but Chu Tianan believes that her daughter will soon realize the importance of her future duties as the head of the family. The man notes that his wife is always right. The hero, seeing all this, cannot accept it just like that, even if he knows that this is a parallel world. But seeing his parents like this is beyond him. The hero realizes that he just can't accept it. At the same time, the mother hugs the father, saying that boys should be bright and girls should be bad, so let her go for a walk, because this is not such a big problem, since she is still their girl. Yuan-Tu-Lin agrees to these words. He notices that his wife is hungry, so he is going to cook her something to eat. Chu King's mood is falling through the roof. He thinks back to where he saw a similar scene. Memories from some romantic movie cut into my memory, from which the hero mentally begins to vomit a rainbow stream. Realizing that this is already too disgusting, he turns around, informing his parents that he has gone to his room. The guy is very unpleasant to realize that he is powerless here. Entering his room, the brunette notices the perfect cleanliness. The entire environment is so polished that it glitters. There are a couple of children's toys on the bed. The guy walks into the room with a little surprise, not fully believing that this is his room. Since women's rights prevail in this world, every family always wants a daughter to be born. This judgment has become deeply ingrained over the past few centuries, creating a huge difference between the male and female populations on the planet. That is, there are still tens of millions of single women in their country. Women who want to get married must have a house and a car to marry a beautiful man. And men, as long as they are beautiful, will be the target of hunting for women. After looking in the mirror and evaluating himself, the hero went to the table, knowing full well that with his face he would become a desirable couple for many women. Chu King decides to inspect the drawer in the desk. Opening the first one, he notices a bunch of letters with hearts. The box is completely filled with them, which causes them to fall to the floor. This causes a slight stupor to the guy, who comes to the simple conclusion that he is a high school celebrity in Jinmen's second high school. The guy decides to give up on everything, believing that he needs to leave this world as quickly as possible, so he sits down in the lotus position, preparing to start cultivating. He notes that the energy in this world is very rich and strong. Chu Ken realizes that with this energy, he will be able to recover all of his lost skills and abilities that he trained in. The guy begins to saturate his body with energy. When he feels that he has gathered enough energy, he mentally orders the opening of the corridor of space and time to return to his world. Night falls. The hero notes that he must leave this strange parallel world as soon as possible. He opens his eyes. Obviously, he spent several hours in meditation to recover some of his strength. It turns out that it was the Golden Wool practice that strengthened all of the guy's 5 senses. Chu King decides to test his abilities. Concentrating, he studies his surroundings. With it, he first gets into the room of his parents, and then into the room of his sister. The guy notices that mom and dad are already asleep, but his sister is not in her room. It's obvious that she hasn't returned home yet. The hero comes out of a state of meditation, remembering that in this world, men and women have switched roles, and it is not surprising that women go out late. Then the hero's phone starts ringing. Chu Zio's name is displayed on it. Chu King picks up the phone, clarifying what happened. My sister starts yelling into the phone. Her voice is worried and very scared. She asks you to listen to her first. She says that she is in serious trouble, but she asks her brother not to tell his parents and not to call the police. It turns out that the sister was taken hostage by 3 representatives of the fair sex. Chapter 1-5. Quickly, realizing that his sister is not joking at all, the guy anxiously asks what happened. Chu Zio also says that there is a black bag under her bed in her room. She asks to bring this bag to the Crescent Bar on the street, which she doesn't have time to say because the phone is ripped out of her mouth. A representative of the fair sex with short blue hair starts talking on the phone. She says that if a guy wants his sister to be okay, he should quickly bring her a bag to the 302nd room. The hero replies that he will do it, and then hangs up. After entering his sister's room and finding the necessary black bag, he opens the window. With the help of a ricochet from the walls, it descends down from a fairly decent height. Chu King becomes serious, mentally declaring that he won't let anyone touch his family. After some time, the hero gets to the Crescent Bar. He does not hesitate to enter room 302, where his sister is being held by 2 girls. He throws a black bag on a small table, claiming to have brought what they asked for, so he demands that they let his sister go. On a long, chic sofa, the same girl with whom the hero recently spoke is sitting impressively. In her hands is a bottle of something alcoholic. She gets up from her seat, noting that the guy in real life is much more beautiful than in the photo. The blue-haired girl leans over Chu Ken, wanting to know how old he is. The hero does not respond to provocations in any way, claiming that this is not the business of the interlocutor. Such inaccessibility begins to anger the fair sex. She looks down at the bag, then opens it. Inside is a huge amount of money. Chu Zio doesn't understand why there's so much money in there. It becomes clear that she was not aware of what was in the bag at all. The hero turns in the direction of his sister with incomprehension. He asks if she didn't know there was money in the bag. The guy notes that there is at least 1 million, so it is even difficult for him to imagine how she managed to get involved in history. What strikes him most is that she didn't know there was money in the bag. Chu Zio starts a conversation with that girl. She refers to her as Ju's sister and claims that she didn't know it was her money. According to the girl, Zio Lin told her that these were her personal belongings and asked her to keep them for a while. The blue-haired woman demands that the girl shut up, saying that no one dares to steal her money. She points out that Lin Xiaoan pretended to work for her, but actually stole her money. A representative of the fair sex notes that she is already tired of this. She zips up the money bag. Ju advises Chu Zio to leave the place before she gets angry. The hero's sister thanks the girl for this, then grabs the guy by the hand, starting to literally drag him to the exit. At this point, Zhu uncomprehendingly asks who told the girl that her brother could also leave. Chu Zio knows in his mind that it will be difficult to leave just like that. Chapter 1-6. Zhu puts a finger to her chin, noting that her brother looks very good. She honestly admits that she likes him, so Chu Zio can leave, leaving her brother here. A representative of the fair sex comes forward, closing the hero behind her. She declares that she will not allow her brother to be touched. The girl asks that Sister Zhu not involve her brother in the affairs of women because he is still young. This makes the other person laugh. She sits back down on the couch, issuing an ultimatum. Either my brother stays or she stays. Zhu warns that if it is Chu Zio who stays, then she will have to work hard to redeem herself. Then the hero's sister confidently declares that she is staying. She asks her brother to go home first, and she will come later. The girl emphasizes that he is a man, so it is not safe for him to be in such a place. In addition, she claims that this is her problem, and she should clean it up. Shu King steps forward, asking her sister if she thinks her brother is immoral. He confidently steps forward, putting his foot on a small table. He asks the old woman if she can help him, whether he should stay here. This puts everyone in a stupor. Hearing such rudeness in her address, the blue-haired woman begins to think that the interlocutor wants to die. She tells him that she will drag him to bed, where she will torture him and not even feed him. The hero also prescribes a powerful bream of the interlocutor. The nurse is so startled by what she sees that she covers her mouth with her hands. Zhu recovers quickly. She clenches her fist and attacks the guy with it. Shu King returns the blow. From the power of the fair sex, he is blown back, but he calmly slows down with his feet. The guy notes that this is very interesting. In his mind, however, he notices that women have great power in this world. The blue-haired woman grabs her injured arm, ordering her subordinates to attack him. Two representatives of the fair sex try to go to the guy from the back, but the latter is very vigilant. He leaps into the sky, where he strikes back. Shu King swirls in a whirlwind, causing all the attacking women to fall to the floor. When he finishes using the skill, all the girls are lying on the floor. The guy also notes that everything is over and they can go home. The hero grabs his sister by the arm, trying to take her away from the bar, but a voice from behind makes them stop. Zhu points the gun at the siblings, saying that if they take one step, she will shoot them. She suggests checking which is faster, him or bullets. Then Chu Zio steps forward. She claims that her brother has nothing to do with it, so she begs him to forgive her. These actions enrage the blue-haired girl, who screams that no matter what the girl says, she will still kill her right now. Shu Kin puts a hand on his sister's shoulder, saying that if Zhu wants it so much, then he is ready to serve her. Then the next door, which apparently leads to the VIP area of the bar, opens. A beautiful girl comes out with a cigarette in her mouth. She laughs, noting that this is a very interesting sight, so she doesn't understand how they didn't call her. She has gorgeous black hair, a red dress that even at a glance looks very expensive. Behind the representative of the fair sex are two bodyguards in black glasses and suits. Here the guest pays attention to the guy. She recognizes him as Chu King. The hero also realizes that this is the same girl that he saw when he first moved into this world. The guy quickly comes to his senses, asking why Yi Chengxi is here. This elicits a strange chuckle from the other woman, who casually reminds her that this is actually her place. The beauty informs Xu Yun that she will take the boy for herself, and that it is no longer her business. She also asks her to leave the place. Bluehair doesn't like this, so in a fit of anger, she calls her crazy, noticing that he wants to break the rules. Yi Chengxi repeats the girl's words that she wants to break the rules. Her face changes, becoming harder and more merciless. The owner of the establishment orders her bodyguards to take away this garbage. That is, cut off her hands and feet and throw them out on the street. Xu Yun goes into shock. She falls to the floor, starting to tremble with fear. At first, she apologizes, admitting that she was wrong, but when she is taken by the armpits of the hostess's bodyguards, she returns her opinion that Yi Chengxi has gone mad. After that, the brunette orders to cut off one of her legs and one of her arms. After that, she turns to the hero with an innocent smile, noting that this is a gift to him. She wants to know if he likes it. The guy turns his face away, wanting to know why she's helping him. Yi Chengxi rushes to explain his behavior. It turns out that Chu King is the first person who dared to talk to her like that. She notes that he is very different, and that he is really different from all men, so she decided that he would become her 36th boyfriend. The hero roughly throws off the girl's hand from him, noting that she is not to his taste, and he would have coped with the enemy without her help. Inwardly, Chu King thinks that not one adequate guy will want to be the 36th of a girl. Yi Chengxi shows doubts about the other party's words. In her opinion, a man with a weak and small body would not be able to defeat Chu. The guy sees that the representative of the fair sex does not believe him, so he dirty provokes her by asking why she dares to compare him with him. These words make his sister seriously scared. The brunette starts to get angry. Her mood drops below the baseboard. Shu Zio grabs her brother's arm, trying to reason with him because she doesn't think it's right to compare herself to a strong woman like Yi Chengxi at all. The owner of the establishment reads out her thoughts aloud about how they would check it out. The brunette also offers arm wrestling. He sets simple conditions under which his victory will mean freedom. That is, the girl will never bother him again. The interlocutor still doubts that the interlocutor is serious, so she clarifies whether he really wants to fight her. She also re-emphasizes the fact that the guy is a man. The hero again provokes the interlocutor with a question about whether she is really afraid. These words make the brunette laugh. Yi Chengxi declares that there is nothing in the world that she is afraid to do. When she calms down, she decides to set her own terms. If she wins, she wants the hero to become her boyfriend. Shu King steps forward, agreeing to these conditions. The guy together with the hostess of the establishment sit down at the table. They carefully look at each other, assessing the strength of the enemy. At the same time, a little further away from them, 4 representatives of the fair sex begin to talk about this situation. A girl with purple hair notices that there is no point in this little boy fighting with their sister. The blonde also notices that if she was the younger sister of this handsome man, she would eat him whole. The blue-haired girl says that men are made of water and women are made of iron, so this boy will definitely lose to Sister Yi. The hero, hearing such negotiations, is once again convinced that women in this world are really very strong and look down on men. A guy and a girl cross their arms as they prepare for an arm wrestling match. Yi Chengxi also says that he will make the opponent feel the gap between men and women, which is like the gap between heaven and earth. The hero doesn't respond to this. After that, the start of the match is announced. Shu King feels that he can't win from the first jump. He is once again convinced that women in this world are really unusual. He admits that the woman is quite strong. However, he makes a reservation to himself that he is not an ordinary person at all. Becoming serious for a few moments, the guy concentrates a decent amount of energy in his hand. After that, he easily overpowers Yi Chengxi, who is astonished by this development. Chapter 8. Shu King stands up from his seat, stating that he won, so the girl should not forget about their deal. The guy grabs his sister by the wrist and guides her to the exit. Others are amazed at this development of events. Someone notices that the sister was fascinated by this boy. Another says that it's all about the older sister, who did not resist at all. The third does not understand whether a person can have such power. Other 2 representatives of the fair sex suggest that it was the hand of the legendary unicorn. Well, the latter believes that his strength lies in the fact that he does not have a girlfriend. At the same time, the hostess is very angry. What had happened had thrown her off balance. An evil aura starts flying around her, causing the crowd to quiet down. One of the bodyguards approaches the lady, asking if the boy should be tied up. Yi Chengxi slaps her hard across the face, telling her to shut up because she believes that, "I haven't lost yet." The hostess gets up from her seat and starts talking to the departing hero. She claims that he surprised her, but he should not forget that a small boy like him, it is better to hold on to their strong female wings. The girl claims that her offer is still valid, but as long as he agrees, then he is her boyfriend. In that case, she assures that no one in Jinmen will dare to touch him in the future. Shu King doesn't understand why she thinks that a man should cling to women. In his opinion, men have their own hands and feet, and they can create their own future on their own. One of the girls who heard this thinks this guy is not right in the head. Yi Chengxi notes that from ancient times to the present, men have been oppressed by women, and women are the pillars of peace, and it is women who control the change and development of society, bearing responsibility for all its ups and downs. The hostess notices that even small children know such things. A strong representative of the fair sex declares that there are extraordinary men in the world, but women who bring more benefits are more useful to society. And even there are very few literary heroes in their entire history, so she believes that there is no benefit from such as Shu King. These words hurt the hero a little. He can't just leave anymore, so he goes back to the arenas, asking what's the big deal. Shu King also claims that all he knows is that a person is constantly striving for development, so he does not understand why men do not bring Wu Gu to Su under the 50 rules of Guanxia. According to the guy, a man is to lie on the lap of a beautiful girl, and then get up and kill the human rights. After that, he and his sister leave the bar. The bodyguard tries to appeal to his mistress, but the latter finds what is happening surprising, because it finally dawns on her that a rebel like him is perfect for her, so she declares that she will not let him escape. Then another bodyguard reminds her that due to the reception of guests, she was asked to return early. Yi Chengxi interrupts the subordinate, noting that she only went out to play for a couple of days, so she can't come back. After that, she chastises the bodyguard for calling her mistress, which is wrong since the girl's sister is still alive. While the brother and sister go home together, the girl decides to clarify whether the brother will tell her parents about what happened. The hero replies that he will have to do it, because if he was not there, then she would not be able to get out of there in one piece, and her parents will worry. Chuzayo is angry because he thinks that her brother is planning to threaten her with this. After a while, the sister decides to share her thoughts with her brother. She wonders when her brother has become so strong, and if Changxi can marry him in the future. The girl notices that she was the heiress of a family that inherited power in the underworld of Jinmen. So if her brother marries her, then she will help his sister, and she is only a few years older than him. The aura around the hero changes. He rudely tells his sister to shut up, threatening to send her back to the bar if she says another word. Brother and sister return home. Chu-kin sits down to meditate, noting that he wants to reach his previous cultivation level faster, but his current strength is still insufficient, and right now, he can only hear and see clearly because his 5 senses are sharpened. The hero decides to use his abilities. He looks in on his sister, who is still awake. The same one aloud asks her younger brother to take off his pants faster, because she is very impatient. This gives the guy a mental slap on the back of the head, so he immediately interrupts the workout. He points out that this Chuzayo is worse than his sister in the original world. Morning comes, and the hero goes to Jinmen High School. Chu-king walks down the street and hears someone calling his name. He turns around and Deet sees a chubby kid approaching. He already assumes that this is his best friend Lindong. Chapter 9. The boy runs up to the hero and grabs his hands, anxiously asks what he did yesterday, and why he did not answer his calls. Chu-king quickly pulls out his hands. The interlocutor does not understand what is wrong with a friend, noticing that he is behaving strangely. The hero nervously claims that everything is in order, but he himself is normal. He waves to his friend, telling him that he has to go. Chu-king quickly steps forward, noting to himself that this sissy isn't his best friend at all. The guy stands still, looking after the other person with incomprehension. The hero enters his class. In it, everything is arranged in reverse. Girls play ball, and guys communicate with each other, carefully watching their appearance. Some of them even clean the board. Chu-king, on the other hand, puts his head down on his desk, silently declaring that because of this world, he wants to go blind more and more so that he can't see more of it. Then a thin hand gently wakes the guy up, poking him in the shoulder. The hero raises his head and sees the girl. It's Song Kaorin, the class leader, who greets Chu-king, asking if he's not feeling well. The guy takes a sitting position, saying that everything is fine with him, and he just did not have time to eat breakfast, so now he is a little hungry. Song Kaorin claims that she has a bun, so if the other person wants to eat, they can eat it. A representative of the fair sex also states that college entrance exams are coming up soon, so the guy needs to take care of his health. From the whole appearance of the interlocutor, it is clear that she is very nervous. Then someone notices this unusual situation from the outside. The unknown woman doesn't understand how Song Kaorin had the guts to talk to the school's handsome boy. A masculine girl intervenes in communication between the hero and the prefect. She throws the girl aside, putting her hand on Chu-king's shoulder and asking if he read her love letter yesterday. This situation pisses the hero off. He sends a manly woman in the opposite direction with one powerful blow. Along the way, she demolishes a bunch of desks and chairs. The woman gets to her feet. She is furious at what is happening, because, in her opinion, a man does not dare to do this to her. The uninvited guest clenches her fist and is about to hit the guy, saying that it's time for him to feel pain. Chu-king doesn't move as he prepares to take the blow. He behaves calmly and confidently, but a third person intervenes in the fight. Someone calls for the brawlers to stop. This person turns out to be a guy. He has short black hair, bright eyes. He is wearing a black shirt, blue tie, and white jacket. This is Yimao, Chengxi's brother. Boy Baba, on the other hand, is surprised to see such a significant person in their class, so she rushes to find out what he is doing here. Yimao also orders the girls to get out of his sight while he is still kind. The same one runs away, shouting that if it wasn't for his sister Chengxi, she wouldn't care. The guy approaches the hero, noting that there is something he wants to talk to him about. They go to the balcony, where no one can disturb them. Yimao says that he really regrets what happened yesterday. He goes on to explain that he had heard that the other person had been captured by his sister, so he tried to find him, but lost track of him. It turns out that Chengxi gave the hero a ride home yesterday so that he could return to Yimao later. She was fulfilling her brother's request. When they were alone, Chengxi gave the guy a bottle of liquid, noting that there were no other drinks in the car. Chu-king took and drank the contents of this container. The guy admits that he is very sorry, but if he knew this was going to happen, he wouldn't have asked his sister to drive him. The hero puts his hand on the other person's shoulder, assuring him that everything is fine and that he shouldn't think about it, because Chu-king doesn't blame him for it. After that, they return to the lesson. The rest of the day passes uneventfully. In the late afternoon, the hero leaves the school. Chu-king walks home on the street. Next to it, stop abruptly. T-car. The window opens. Behind the wheel is Chengxi, who orders him to get in the car. The guy also clarifies why he should do this. He doesn't understand why this girl still bothers him. The hostess of the restaurant invites the interlocutor to think about his family. She smiles slyly, saying that he should understand what she means. The guy gets serious. Chapter 10. The hero gets into the car in the front seat. The girl also notices that her passionate boy is really good. Chu King also emphasizes that the interlocutor made a mistake today. He notices that she might have just visited him, but it's not worth threatening him or his family. A representative of the fair sex hints to the guy that her words are not a threat at all. Chu King also points out that whether it's a threat or not, she shouldn't mention it in the future, as a sign of the seriousness of his intentions. He touches a crystal suspended in the middle of the car with his finger and easily breaks it with a touch. This phenomenon puts into a stupor a girl who is not ready for something like this. The fragments have not yet had time to fall to the floor, as the hero puts pressure on the interlocutor. He touches her chin with his hand, looking her straight in the eye and telling her that she must understand the consequences if she dares to threaten him. Chengxi, realizing that the guy is not joking at all, notices that there was no threat in her words, but she just wanted to help his sister and mother because she knows that his mother had problems recently. Chu King also decides to clarify how this concerns the girl herself and whether she feels sorry for him. The head of the bar claims that this was not in her thoughts, because the interlocutor is now connected with the criminal world. She expresses her desire to pursue a guy in the open. Chengxi suggests that they become friends first, and then she can help his family's business. After hearing a sufficiently sincere speech, the hero returns to his place, deciding that first they will become friends. Chu King stresses that he approves of her intentions, but warns her not to joke with him again. After that, he asks her to hurry up. The girl presses the gas pedal, fulfilling the request of the guy. Inwardly, she marvels at him. Chengxi notes that there is something else she would like to ask the guy. With these words, she gets his attention. She asks him directly if he practices ancient martial arts. Chu King also doesn't understand what is being said, claiming that men in this world can't cultivate. The interlocutor emphasizes that she knows that he lied to her, because his strength is not like that of other men. So she found out information about him and the situation in his family, but apparently his family has nothing to do with martial arts. Chengxi notices that if the other person doesn't want to talk, then she won't insist. She also assumes that this is his personal secret. The brunette's silence is the answer. It does not show that the other person has hit the nail on the head. Then Chu King sees the danger. A huge truck is rushing towards them. The guy only manages to warn the girl about the danger. The truck knocks down a car, which flies up into the air from the impact. After making several somersaults, it stops in such a way that the car is standing on the roof. Chengxi reaches up, asking if the guy is okay. It is clear that she herself is very bad right now. Her vision is blurry, and she seems to be reaching for the light. Chu King appears in front of the girl. The same one notices that he is injured. Indeed, the guy has a lot of abrasions, bruises, and cuts on his body, but he easily picks up the fair sex with one hand and with the other knocks down the car door, saying that you can talk later because first you need to get out. Holding Chengxi in his arms, the guy jumps out of the car. She also notices that he has serious injuries, so they urgently need to go to the hospital. The hero notices that this is only the beginning of their problems, so it's too early to go to the hospital. A guy and a girl look at a pile of smoke raised from the accident. First, several shadows appear, and then their owners appear. They are 4 girls who have at least some weapons in their hands. Chapter 11. Chengxi steps forward, blocking out the hero. She doesn't understand how they dared to attack and hurt her boyfriend. For this, the girl is ready to kill them all. The girls pounce on her. One of them is holding a wooden bat. The other has 2 glass bottles. The third has a huge cleaver, and the fourth has an iron stick. The hostess of the restaurant throws the first opponent with a powerful blow to the side. One of the girls goes to the hero. She has sharp cleavers in her hands, with which she is going to chop the guy. Chu King gathers his strength, realizing that he seems to be underestimated again. With a powerful straight punch to the stomach, he knocks out all the spirit from the opponent. Her weapon flies out of her hand. The attacker falls to the asphalt, and the guy turns his gaze to the remaining ones. Chengxi is actively fighting 4 opponents at once. The hero also grabs the cleaver of the defeated enemy in his hands. He takes off at an unthinkable speed in the direction of the fight. In a couple of moves, he takes down 2 girls at once, knocking them down. The 2 remaining representatives of the fair sex are amazed at what they see. They clearly weren't prepared for something like this. Chengxi takes advantage of the enemy's confusion. Concentrating her strength in both hands, she sends the girls to the side with powerful blows of her palms. After that, she pathetically shakes off her hands. The girl notices that the guy also did a good job. Chu King insists that these are small things, and stresses that he will leave the rest to her. At the same time, the hero throws the weapon out of his hands. The hostess of the establishment says that to ask someone to take care of this problem. She also points out that if it wasn't for the guy, she'd be in a lot of trouble, so she wonders if he's really just an ordinary high school student. The hero again repeats that these are small things. He also notices that it's too late now, so his father will probably be worried. For this reason, he suggests rescheduling their lunch for another day. Then the phone starts ringing in her jacket. She immediately picks up the phone, asking what happened. The voice of the startled girl attracts the hero's attention. He wonders what happened, but then Chu King points out that it doesn't matter what happened, because it has nothing to do with him, and their family matters are not something that a high school student like him can decide. Yi Chengxi abruptly grabs the hero's elbow, forcing him to stop. A suppressed aura is flying around her. She says that her mother is seriously injured, and that she was attacked by a killer. Now she was rescued and taken home. Tears welled up in the girl's eyes. Chu King also notes that she and her mother were attacked at the same time, so it is not accidental. Thus, the guy comes to the obvious conclusion that big changes are coming in the criminal world of Jinmen. Chapter 12. Yi Chengxi says that if her mother falls, then her aunt will become the head of the family, and then she will definitely be kicked out of the family. The girl is so depressed that she even asks what to do. Chu King puts his hands on her shoulders, telling her to calm down and not cry, for he will go with her. The hero notes that now the state of her family depends only on her, so she must keep herself in hand. He also claims that even if there is nothing else he can do to help her, he wants to at least comfort her. At this point, the interlocutor is surprised to realize that she feels that she can trust his feelings. She stretches her arms out to him, and then without any hesitation hugs him to recover. At this point, she feels that all the anxiety goes into the background, and inside there is calm and confidence. Night falls when the guy and the girl get to the house of the Yi family. They are met by one of the bodyguards, who is glad to see her mistress back. Yi Chengxi gets straight to the point, asking how things are going at home. The subordinate replies that everything is very bad, because she can't enter. It turns out that Ime said that until Yi Chengxi arrives, no one else is allowed to enter. These words anger a girl who doesn't understand how to. This woman dares to do this. Chu King decides to clarify who Ime is. Yi Chengxi says that this is her third aunt. The girl's mother often told her that all the time in their family, Ime always made attempts to collude with other big families. But since her mother didn't have sound evidence, there was nothing she could do. The girl admits that she did not expect that this time she would make the first move. After that, a representative of the fair sex begins to go to the house, calling for the hero. 2 security guards block the couple's way into the house. One of them emphasizes that this guy can't get in. Yi Chengxi is angry, not understanding how the girl dared to stop her people. The hero finds a way out of the situation. He says that he is a doctor and has come to treat Ms. Yi. In his mind, he remembers that in the fairy tale world, he studied medicine, and now it may be useful for him. Girls mock him, not understanding when a man can be a doctor. Chu King puts everything in order. He immediately names all the girls' illnesses. One has had a reproductive system disorder for many years, and the other's kidneys are in poor condition. The hero suggests that this may be due to prolonged training in martial arts. The girl tries to apply traditional Chinese medicine, but the effect is almost non-existent. Both guards look at each other, realizing that the guy is not so simple. They move apart at the same time, inviting the couple to come inside. Someone is already waiting for them outside the gate. 2 girls who look alike meet the hero and Yi Chengxi. One of them is Yume, and the other is Ymer. The first one shows an assumed joy that the girl returned home on time. She also notes that if she hadn't, anything could have happened. Yi Chengxi demands to be taken to her mother because she wants to see her. Yime also emphasizes that the interlocutor is rude to her, because when it comes to seniority, she should call her third aunt. The woman goes on to say that the man is banned from entering the Yi family, so she can't bring this strange guy home. Yi Chengxi responds by saying that this guy is the doctor she called, so she asks to let them pass. Yime is not happy with this state of affairs. She doesn't believe that this man can be a doctor. Moreover, the woman assumes that he is just a savage, whom she picked up after several days of absence. Seeing the unwavering look in the girl's eyes, third aunt decides to set a condition. She says that if a guy wants to enter and become a man of their family, then he must have at least some ability. Otherwise, he will not be able to enter this house. After that, Yime turns to her daughter, asking her to check out how great the skills of the boy that this little lady brought are. Ymer accepts his mother's words by stepping forward. Chapter 13. As Mayor slowly approaches the couple, Mei realizes that Yi Chengxi won't be able to stand by if the guy gets killed, and if she tries to protect him, she will break the rules of the Yi family and then no one will be able to protect her, not even her own mother. Mayor wants the guy to promise to fulfill one of her conditions if he loses. The hero with a venomous smile asks what this condition is. Mayor also notes that if she wins, he will stay with her for one night. Yi Chengxi can't stand by after something like this. She thinks the girl is going too far. Chu King grabs Yi Chengxi's hand, calming her down with just one look. It makes its promise, encouraging you to start. At this point, he feels the danger. The opponent's leg is already rushing towards him at breakneck speed. The hero calmly blocks the blow, perfectly aware that she spoke so as to distract him. After that, he quickly strikes back at the girl's stomach. Mayer is thrown out of the way by the guy's powerful punch. This comes as a shock to Mei, who clearly wasn't prepared for this. Chu King asks if she still wants to sleep with him. Third aunt lifts her daughter to the ground. Aji, noting that what is happening is simply outrageous. She believes that Yi Chengxi brought a real savage to their house. The girl shuts up the woman, saying that if they do not provoke him, he will not touch them. Chu King tells the woman to hurry up and get her daughter to the hospital, because he can't guarantee whether there are internal injuries or not. Yimei insults the guy, saying that he is too cruel, so she will repay him twice as much. The couple no longer pays attention to them, going into the house. A blonde woman in glasses and a formal suit is waiting for them in the hallway of the house. Yi Chengxi recognizes her as second aunt. The woman sincerely rejoices at the appearance of the girl and hugs her. Yi Chengxi is in a hurry to find out where her mother is. The interviewee says that her mother is fine, but the injury is too serious, so they can only help her for a while. The hero chimes in, noting that if it's such a serious injury, it can't be delayed, so they should go check it out, because there's a chance that he can help. The second aunt decides to find out what kind of guy came with her. Chu King asks you to trust him. Yi Chengxi then reveals that the guy is a friend of hers who was able to help her during the recent attack. She also notices that he is a doctor. After that, the blonde decides to skip them. Yi Chengxi sees her mother lying in bed and immediately jumps on her with a hug, asking if she's okay. The woman rejoices at the return of her daughter, but she also notices the appearance of a guy, which is why she rushes to find out who he is. The hero explains that he is a doctor, and that Yi Chengxi assigned him to treat her, so he asks her to show the injuries on her body. Mentally, the guy wonders what's going on. When he saw Yi Chengxi's mother, he also thought of his parents. Instead of being here, he should have been home by now. He has no idea how to explain his disappearance to mom and dad. Chu King also realizes that he has completely forgotten that it is not safe for a man to go out at night in this strange world. These words will only make a woman laugh. She politely says that the other person will not be able to help with her injury, so she asks second aunt to accompany him to the guest room, emphasizing the fact that she still has her own things to do. The blonde asks the guy to follow him, but at this moment his aura changes. Chapter 14. Yi Chengxi stands up for the hero. He asks his mother to let him see her, because he is a good person, and if it wasn't for him, she might have suffered today too. The woman is surprised by these words. She notes that this is the first time she sees her daughter have a high opinion of a man, so she decides to find out what's so special about him. Then Chu King chimes in. He notices that if he understood correctly, someone attacked her and hit her right in the left shoulder with a poisonous palm. The hero makes it clear that this technique is very dangerous, and because of this, the victim must use most of his strength to resist the spread of this energy. And the female body itself is very weak, because most of the energy is unstable. These words strike the interlocutor to the depths of her soul. She asks her daughter and second aunt to leave them, because she wants to talk to this child alone. Second aunt takes Yi Chengxi's hand and leads her away before she has time to recover. When they are alone, the woman asks if the guy was sent by the Li family, and what are his intentions for her daughter. At the same time, she tries to put pressure on him with her aura. The hero replies that he is not from the Li family. After that, he emphasizes that if a woman has questions, then she should ask her daughter for what purpose he was brought. He also points out that if he hadn't saved her daughter at the time of the accident, she would be dead right now. The woman, not seeing a lie in the guy's eyes, decides to trust him and show her wound. She strips off her outer clothing, exposing her torso and warning him that if he dares to do anything to her daughter, she will cut off his head. Chu King isn't listening to her. His nose is bleeding from the sight of the beautiful pineapples of the interlocutor. Chapter 1-14. The hero covers his face with his hand, trying to recover. He makes a mental note that taking off his clothes without saying a word is not very nice, even if he is a teenager, but still a man. Then Chu King notices the woman's wound. 5 terrible holes, located in the area of the left shoulder blade, emit a strange black force. The guy is amazed that the people who attacked the woman used a very destructive poison attack. He stresses that even if her strength restrains her, within 5 days, her internal organs will collapse and rot. The interlocutor notes that she thought so, and asks if the guy can cure her. The hero approaches her from behind and puts his hand on the wound, saying that he will try to do it. He concentrates, starting to suck the poison out of the wound. The woman notices the fact that it becomes easier for her. Chu King focuses on himself, then gets rid of the poison. He then explains that with his current abilities, he can only extract some of the poison, for he doesn't dare to suck out all the poison at once because he can't know what will happen then. The woman first asks how he managed to do this, but then she asks him to forget about it, noticing the fact that everything is fine, and now she feels much better. At the same time, the woman puts on her outer clothing. A representative of the fair sex clarifies how she can thank the doctor and what he needs. Shu King claims that he doesn't want anything, but that he did it because he and Yi Chengxi are friends. This elicits a strange chuckle from the other woman, who notices that she has completely forgotten about the fact that he and Chengxi are friends. She emphasizes the last word in a special tone, which makes the hero feel that it sounds very awkward. Yi Chengxi goes out with a guy outside the house. A taxi is waiting for him. The girl admits that she would never have thought that the interlocutor would really be able to heal the trauma of her mother. She abruptly hugs Shu King, asking him not to leave today so that she can repay him and give him a gift. Chapter 15. The guy pushes the brunette away from him, refusing her offer, explaining that if his parents find out that he spent the night at the house of another girl, they will go crazy. Shu King jumps in the car, and the owner of the establishment says that after all, he is a good child, and a very handsome and good-looking man, but he must be careful not to be seduced by others. The hero says goodbye, then sitting in the backseat, examines a piece of dark energy in his hand that he managed to extract from the woman. He makes a mental note that this poison is like a curse, so it can't be removed with his current powers. The hero remembers that in the magical world there was an elixir that can eliminate this poison. Shu King wonders if there are distillers in this world that can make elixir like in the fairy world. With these thoughts, he clenches his fist, suppressing the poison. The next day arrives. In the morning, the hero goes to school. On the way, he hears two guys trying to cheer up a certain Tang Zian. This name seems familiar to the guy, which is why he decides to take a look at what is happening. Beautiful young girl in sports uniform moves well with a basketball. He circles several members of the enemy team, and then jumps the ball into the basket. She has purple hair and amber eyes. Shu King recognizes this girl as an acquaintance. It turns out that in the normal world, this representative of the fair sex was his first love. The two guys standing next to each other are supporting Tang Zian. One says that his heart almost stopped, and the second notes that it was very cool. The hero looks away, realizing that this is different from his previous life, and they don't know each other in this world, so it will be strange if he feels awkward and embarrassed in front of her. Shu King is about to leave, but the girl asks him to wait a moment. When the guy looks around, she asks if they've met before. The brunette notes that they are studying at the same school, so they more or less met face to face. The interlocutor says that this is not what she meant at all. The hero swallows the lump that rises in his throat, mentally noting that Tang Zian, just like in his previous life, likes to dig deep into information. Seeing the strange face of the interlocutor, the girl asks him to forget about it. She pretentiously throws a basketball in the air, then approaches the guy at point-blank range, offering him to play basketball. Moreover, she is even willing to teach him. Shu King smiles slyly. He abruptly snatches the ball from the girl, accepting the invitation. They walk out onto the playground, where Tang Zian decides to make his own terms. If she wins, the opponent will become her boyfriend. Then the hero is interested in what will happen if he wins. The girl promises that she will do whatever he wants if she loses. At the same time, the girls begin to communicate with each other. One of them notes that Tang Zian dominates the coolest students in their school. Another says that if she could play basketball with Tang Zian, she would feel like the happiest person in this school. The competition begins. The girl confidently drives the ball. She circles the hero, then scores a three-pointer. This slightly surprises the hero, who clearly wasn't ready for something like this. While the ball falls on the asphalt, other representatives of the fair sex support the girl. One of them screams that Tang Zian is really the best. Another believes that Tang Zian will definitely become his girlfriend. The girl herself says that she will not give in to make him her boyfriend. Chapter 1-16. Shu King stretches his neck, noting that it's getting interesting. The second round begins. The girl runs the ball again. She tries to circle the hero, but this time it is much more difficult to do. Tang Zian jumps up and down. She raises her hand with the ball over her head, intending to score another goal, but she feels that this time it's not like that. The guy jumps out high, blocking the girl's throw. The ball falls to the floor, flying away. Some schoolboy is amazed that the hero could jump so high. The two girls who supported Tang Zian mentally note that this high school student is very awesome, so they plan to write another love letter to him today. Shu King picks up the basketball, declaring that it's his turn. The girl doesn't say anything. She takes a defensive stance, preparing to defend the ring. The guy takes off from his seat. Instead of all sorts of strokes and tricks, the hero simply makes a powerful jump, which the opponent does not have time to react to. He flies so high that he easily throws the ball into the basket. then slows down his fall, catching on the basket. Before the ball touches the asphalt, Tang Xian admits defeat. It can be seen that the girl is very hard given these words, but she still pulls herself together and asks what the winner wants. Shu King reaches out to touch the girl's cheek, then lightly starts to squeeze her. He expresses a desire to woo the girl. The two guys watching this understand that he wants to dominate. One of them notices that it's very unusual and so cool. A mysterious smile appears on Tang Xian's face. She agrees to this condition, but in order to take care of her, the guy must be strong. These words confuse the hero a little. While he fell into a stupor, the representative of the fair sex leaves. The hero does not understand when she became so proud, but he quickly moves away from this, going to school for lessons. In the late afternoon, he goes to the Yi family's home to continue treating the woman. The guy concentrates his energy to take some of the poison for himself. It turns out that after he healed Auntie, he made a breakthrough in his aura and spiritual body by 30%. The treatment process is delayed until late at night. The hero leaves the Yi family's house. He is accompanied by Yi Chengxi, who tells him that he can ask for what he wants because he saved her and her mother. Shu King, hearing these words, sinks into his vulgar fantasies. He imagines a woman dressed as a maid asking him for something very seductively. Chapter 1-17. The girl doesn't understand why the other person is smiling like that. She decides to ask him if he has come up with what he wants. The hero shrugs it off, saying that so far no normal ideas have appeared in his head, so he needs a little more time to think. Shu King moves home on the street. The crescent moon illuminates the sky beautifully, and the hero's path is illuminated by lanterns. As for himself, he thinks that the next time he treats Auntie, his spiritual body will fully open up. The guy is a little surprised by the fact that in the new world he progresses much faster. At the same moment, a car stops next to him, and a young man in a pink bathrobe with wool slippers gets out. The boy walks up to the hero, adjusting his glasses in pathos and asking if he is the same Shu King who wanted to hit on Tang Xian. Spitting on the ground, the unknown person declares that the interlocutor is not handsome at all, after which he clarifies whether he has heard of him, Lai Yue. The hero does not understand what kind of idiot got in his way. After receiving no response, Lai Yue takes it as an insult. He is going to prescribe a delicious bream to the interlocutor to bring him to his senses. The hero grabs his hand by the wrist, and then easily rings it behind his back, making it impossible for him to resist. The arrogant rich man gets hurt, so he demands his bodyguards to intervene and kill Shu King. The brunette is not lost in this development of events. He grabs Lai Yue's head, then slams him down on the asphalt. Then, with one powerful jump kick, he knocks out two opponents who were intending to interfere. Then he slams the other man down on the sidewalk again, breaking his glasses and telling him to take into account the fact that if he wants to beat him, he needs to bring more people with him. The rich man claims that the Lai family will not just leave it, and he also notes that Shu King did not even dream that Tang Xian would be with him, because their parents have already decided everything between them, so she will marry him. The hero also prescribes a powerful hook to the guy, noting to himself that he creates too much noise, and this pisses him off. After that, the guy dusts off his hands and continues on his way home. He assumes that Tang Xian or her family is in trouble, otherwise they wouldn't be able to agree to a wedding with the Lai family. The hero recalls that his aunt mentioned a certain Lai family. The guy realizes that he doesn't have enough information, so he thinks about how to get it. The hero recalls Yi Chengxi's words that he can ask for whatever he wants. With these thoughts, he decides to turn to her for help. Shu King dials her message asking if she knows someone who has good information. Yi Chengxi immediately sends him Lin Huahua's phone number and transfers 100,000 yuan, wishing him luck. This is a bit of a shock to the guy who didn't expect her to take it so seriously and even give him money. He also understands that such cases are not cheap, and he, by the way, is a poor student. Shu King doesn't hesitate for long. He dials the girl's number, then notices that they have something to discuss. A representative of the fair sex accepts these words, only noting the fact that her services are expensive. Chapter 1-18. That same night, the guy goes to a bar. He sits down at the bar and grabs a drink. In his mind's eye, the informant didn't even ask anything during their conversation, but it sounded like a woman. Shu King doesn't know if she can be trusted. Then a small hand falls on the guy's shoulder. He turns around and sees a small girl in a hoodie with pink hair and two red bows. She greets him. Her name is Chen Huahua, and she is 23 years old. The girl leans over the guy, clarifying what he so wanted to know. At the same time, she calls him little brother. Before starting a conversation, the hero decides to ask whether it was Chen Huahua in front of him. Mentally, he notes that this is the real Lola. A representative of the fair sex gives a positive answer, noticing that the interlocutor can call her Huer. In between, she decides to ask what's between him and Ichengsi. After that, the girl explains her interest by saying that if he does not meet, then he will be her boyfriend, due to the fact that this does not sound like a request or question, but as a statement. The hero chokes on a drink that he drinks through a straw. After recovering, Chu King notes that he needs information. He asks her if she knows anything about Tan Xian's family. Hewitt reacts very unpredictably. She asks if this is the same Tan Xian that he beat in basketball. After that, the interlocutor makes the assumption that she is his girlfriend. The brunette calmly denies it. He has a lot of questions in his head. He doesn't understand who she is or how she knows everything. The guy assumes that she was following him. The little girl rejoices at this answer. She asks if the guy is still available. As she does so, she pokes his cheek with her finger. Chu King demands that the other party stop fooling around. Otherwise he will find another informant. The representative of the fair sex resentfully turns away, noting that the guy is too serious because she can't even joke anymore. Hewer pulls out her tablet as the story begins. It turns out that the Tan family are gods, and they own one big company and several smaller ones. In addition, there was a rumor that they had some problems, so the money was strained. The Lai family suggested that they arrange a wedding. They wanted to marry Lai Yue and Tan Xian, the Tan family's heiress, so the Lai family could help the Tan family. The hero marvels to himself that Tan Xian's family is in so much trouble, because in her previous life, she never mentioned anything like this. The guy assumes that she hid it so as not to put pressure on him. The informant decides to clarify if this is all he wanted to know or if there is something else. Chu King chuckles thoughtfully, then asks her to tell him more about alchemy. In his mind's eye, he notices that in this world, some families practice ancient martial arts, so it's possible that alchemy is also involved. Hewer immediately responds by saying that the Tan family specializes in this, and they produce elixirs and medicines. These words startle me. He doesn't fully believe that there are alchemist families in this world. The hero notes that he needs more information, so he demands that the girl lay out everything that she has. Hewer agrees, only saying that it will all depend on what the cute brother can offer her. A mysterious smile and a rather vulgar look, literally undressing the guy, appear on the girl's face. Chapter 1-19. Chu King also notes that he said to end it. He blushes profusely and is embarrassed by such treatment. The interlocutor laughs, deciding to tell him the truth after all. She knows about two types of alchemy. The first is ordinary alchemy, where the alchemist uses inner strength to create an elixir. That's what the Tan family does. But the second method uses some kind of spiritual energy. The informant doesn't know anything about this method. After hearing about the second method, Chu King immediately clings to the words about spiritual energy. He assumes that there is someone else like him in this world. Hewer jumps down from the bar stool, preparing to leave. She notes that the guy has already asked her 2 questions, but he has a cute face, so he only owes her 100,000. The hero also asks the interlocutor to tell him about some reliable supplier of medicinal herbs and all that. A representative of the fair sex agrees to answer this question if the guy has lunch with her. They go to a small eatery with a sign that says pork kebab. A young waiter approaches them. He immediately recognizes the girl, noticing that she has come again. The guy asks if they have chosen what they will order. Hewer orders 20 skewers of meat and 4 cold beers. After that, the hero's eyes are rounded. Chu King is startled by what he has just heard. He is surprised that women in this world also like pork, and even in such quantities. Here the hero turns back, noticing how the girls get drunk and behave like real yokels. The guy covers his face with his hands, trying to accept the fact that this world is different from him. The behavior of the interlocutor raises questions for the girl. Hewer snuggles up to the guy, putting her hand on his pants. Suddenly, she begins to cry, telling her that a young man she liked rejected her because she was poor, even though she had loved him for many years. She literally squeezes into the hero's arm, noticing that she is quite flat, has a cramped apartment and plays a lot of games, but she still deserves someone who would love her. Chu King nervously gives a positive response to this. A representative of the fair sex pulls the guy down to ask if he likes her. It's getting late at night. The hero carries the girl home in his arms. He doesn't understand why you should drink so much if you can't stand it. He opens the door to the girl's apartment, after which he is a little horrified by the situation. He realizes that this lowly can't take care of her own home. There are several bags of trash down there. There are cobwebs in the corners of the apartment, and a huge amount of dirty dishes on the table. The guy puts the girl on the bed next to several toys, and then is going to leave, but the landlady wraps her arms around his neck and pulls him to her. Chapter 1-20. Hewer asks the guy not to leave and stay with her. The hero also makes a responsible decision to stay, so as not to offend the girl. She is happy about this, but the alcohol quickly acts, and she begins to fall asleep. A member of the fair sex falls on top of Chu King, falling asleep on top of him. He covers her with a blanket, then decides to read the messages on her phone. It turns out that the Tan family is known for their alchemy cultivation techniques. But when the information was leaked, the family's position was threatened. The hero opens a document on a secret transaction. Mentally, the guy emphasizes that he is more serious than he thought. Shizhang Auction House is the largest auction house in Jinmen, mainly trades with large and ancient families. A lot of elixirs pass through them. Shu King realizes that in any world, money is needed to survive, since he knows the location of several priceless items. Events are moved back a couple of days. On the roof of one of the houses, the hero meditated to restore his strength. He remembers that in the circle of immortal cultivators, there is an item called a spirit stone. It can facilitate cultivation and help in learning martial arts. The spirit stone can be obtained from one's veins, or by cultivating immortality, absorbing the aura of the heavens and earth. There are no spirit stones in this world, so the hero decides to sell them. One of these stones appears in the hero's hand. He also notices that with such a business, money will flow to him like a river. Evening comes. The guy finishes with the treatment of his aunt. A strong aura emanates from the woman. She notes that her power has finally returned. She's already planning her revenge on an old hag. The aunt thanks the guy for his help, noting that if he gets into trouble in the future, the Yi family will help him. After that, the hero leaves the house of the Yi family. He heads home, realizing that after neutralizing the poison in Auntie Yi's body, his spiritual body has opened up, so he needs to cultivate it quickly. Then someone calls the guy by name, asking him to wait. Shu King turns around. Yi Chengxi bumps into him, kissing him on the lip. After a few moments, she breaks the kiss, claiming that this is her little gift to him in gratitude for healing her mother. The bodyguard calls out to his mistress, noting that it's time for them to leave, otherwise they will be late for the meeting. The girl starts running to the car, asking for forgiveness for not being able to give the guy a ride home today, but she will return then. It will turn out to be the main gift. The hero also thinks that a kiss with a girl is also a good gift. He's a little embarrassed by what happened. After returning home, Shu King begins to cultivate. Energy radiates from it in powerful streams. He feels his transformation, so he puts his hand forward, palm up. It is as if a wound appears on it, from which a colossal amount of energy is released. It turns out that after he passed through time and space, only one item remained with him, this sword. The sword has been with him for hundreds of years, and its power is limitless, so the hero is not even sure if there is a copy of it in this world. Shu King feels that his body is moving to a new level, so he bids farewell to his weak body. A string of golden symbols spreads across the guy's skin. He is holding a sword in his hands. The hero rejoices that his spiritual body has finally been reborn. Chapter 1-21. Then the door to the room opens abruptly. A sleepy nurse enters the room, who doesn't understand why the hell her brother is making a fuss. Shu King hides his sword behind his back, and the golden symbols on his body disappear. Chu Zio rubs her eyes, looking at the guy in surprise. She sees that he is naked and nervous, and also hides something behind his back. In the girl's head there is only one thought about what is happening. My sister slams the door shut, telling my brother to continue. She apologizes for interrupting him so that he wouldn't be there, and then notices that she will come back later. Shu King makes a hand-face gesture, realizing that this is a huge misunderstanding. He dresses by hanging a talisman in the shape of a sword around his neck. In his mind's eye, he makes a mental note to go to the auction house to see how much his pebble will be worth. The guy gets to the Shizhen auction house without incident. Ott opens the door with a creaking sound as he steps inside. The young man is not exactly happy about the guest's arrival, so he emphasizes that they are closed, so the guest should return tomorrow. Shu King also holds out a spirit stone, stating that he wants to sell something, and it is definitely worth the attention of the other party. At first, the merchant does not understand what it is, considering it an ordinary yellow pebble, but when he feels bursts of energy near the object, he jumps up from his place, asking the hero's permission to look at the pebble. Taking the stone in his hands, the young man mentally notes that there is a lot of aura coming from it. He immediately understands that this item can help novice cultivators, and that it is a very rare treasure. The merchant extends his hand to the guy, introducing himself as Xia Yu. He is the heir to the Shizhen auction house. Shu King gives his name. Xia Yu gets straight to the point, asking how many of these things the brunette has, and whether they have a name. The hero also says that they are called spiritual stones, and the interlocutor already knows about their properties. He notices that at the moment he has 5 more such. The merchant offers 200,000 yuan for each stone. Besides, if the guy wants to sell all 5 right now, he'll pay him 1 million. Shu King makes a deal and then goes home. Along the way, he realizes that it was worth it because he got even more than he planned. He also notes that if everything goes as it should, he will be able to monopolize this area. The guy also realizes that soon the whole world of martial arts will stand on its ears because of such stones. Then he looks at his phone. Huahua writes to him, offering to arrange a barbecue today. Here the guy sharply feels the danger. His feelings are alarming. He is attacked by an unknown man in a hood with a knife. The hero uses a sword formation, which causes a protective field to appear around him. This causes the assassin to jump back, for he does not understand what this power is. Chu King's sword also appears in his hands. He runs at a terrific speed towards the enemy, who sees only a yellow flash flying at him. One powerful blow severely injures the mercenary, who falls to his knees. The guy slowly walks up to him and puts his sword to his throat, asking him who he is. Sent it. The boy is trembling with fear. He says that Lai Yue hired him to deal with the other person. In addition, the killer notices that the employer lied to him, saying that his target was just a student. The mercenary asks you not to kill him. The hero ends the other person's life with a single swipe, telling them not to worry because their boss will soon take their bodies. Chu King becomes serious, mentally noting that he will soon reach the Lai family as well. Then he suddenly feels an unusual thump of his heart. He grabs it with his hand, not knowing what's wrong with his body or what's going on. Chapter 1-22. Chu King's entire body is burning, and his vision is swimming. He doesn't understand what's happening to him at all. His feet lead him to the nearest familiar place. It turns out to be a Huahu apartment. He uses the call without understanding why he came here at all. The girl opens the door for him. She is happy that the guy has finally come. The hero abruptly grabs it. He hugs a member of the fair sex, who asks what he's up to. She's all confused by what's happening. The brunette closes the door behind him, kissing the girl on the lips. When their lips part, he apologizes for it. Mentally, he tries to understand what is happening to him today. He assumes it's because he killed a man, but in that world, he was constantly killing. He is roused from his thoughts by a girl who pounces on his neck. Hewer says that the guy doesn't need to apologize, but just keep going and don't dare stop. The couple has a rough night out. When the process of intimate communication ends, they lie in bed in an embrace. The brunette reflects on the situation he's in. He admits that he didn't want to get too attached to this world, but something always goes wrong, and now he has a woman in this world. He realizes that now he has no choice but to take over this world. The next morning, the hero goes to school. He buries his head in his desk, trying to get some sleep, because he didn't really manage to do it last night. Tan Zian walks into the classroom. She asks the students if Chu King is here. The hero raises his head sharply, sensing someone else's proximity. A girl with purple hair kneels in front of his desk, offering to go out and have lunch together. The words unsettle him, jolting him awake. He marvels that women in this world are so straightforward. Tan Zian suddenly leaned forward, smelling an unusual smell. She sniffed, asking why he didn't smell like another woman. Chapter 1-23. There's an awkward silence. The hero starts sweating, completely unsure of what to say. The girl looks at him intently. After finding out something for herself, she says that they have passed, and then asks where he wants to have lunch. The brunette gets up from his desk, starting to follow the fair sex. In his mind's eye, he's glad that the other woman has backed out, because if she found out that he spent the night with another girl, then trouble would be unavoidable. They head down the hall. At this time, the best friend doesn't know if he's dreaming or if Tan Zian really invited Chu Kin to dinner. Yi Chengxi's brother is surprised that the other party didn't hear about the match between them and Chu Kin's confession on the basketball court. After that, he notices the fact that a friend can watch a drink on the school for him, as there will be time. After leaving the school building, the hero decides to ask why the girl so suddenly wanted to eat with him. Tan Zian replies that she just wanted to and nothing more. Because of the hitch after the first word, you can understand that the girl wanted to say something different. After that, she changes the subject, asking permission from the guy about whether she can take his hand. Chu King makes a mental note that it's not interesting at all, because she doesn't even feel embarrassed when she says it. Then the guy himself takes the girl by the hand, which causes her confusion and then embarrassment. They stop. The hero notices that he hasn't done anything wrong, so he's confident. He touches the girl's cheek with his free hand. Tan Zian pulls away abruptly, grabbing the spot that the guy was touching. He nervously asks who allowed Chu King to pinch her. The same person laughs at this in response, noticing what is wrong. The girl changed that day. She didn't know why, but suddenly she felt a warm feeling in her heart. This had never happened before, as she had been trained as the heir to the family since she was a child. She had never seen anyone like Chu Kin. But that day, on the basketball court, she felt something. At that moment, she felt that Chu King was the most important person to her. When she's around him, she feels safe. She wants to rely on him completely. Tan Zian even slapped her face, not knowing what she was thinking. She is struck by these strange thoughts. The couple reaches the restaurant, where the hero immediately makes an order from 2 plates of hot noodles, and one he asks to make spicy and with vinegar, and the second without coriander. Chapter 1-24. Tan Zian was mentally surprised that the guy knew what kind of noodles she liked. She assumes that he was following her, The hero, noticing the unusual state of the girl, decides to clarify whether everything is all right with her because her face is red. When they get a positive response, they fall silent. At the same time, two girls enter the restaurant. Shu King immediately takes notice of them. The kitchen is requested to pick up the order. The brunette gets up from her seat to pick up 2 servings of noodles. At the same moment, one of the fairer sex nods to her friend, giving something the go-ahead. The 2 friends get up, pulling out their knives. One of the girls takes a knife in both hands and raises it over Tan Zian's head. At that moment, noodles fly into her face. The girl screams in pain, which attracts the victim's attention. The noodles were just cooked, so they burned the assailant badly. The second girl does not try to help her friend, but attacks Tan Zian, who is in a state of shock. A few drops of blood fall to the floor. The purple-haired girl freezes in shock when she sees that Shu King has covered her from the impact. The knife went into his stomach. Tan Zian shouts the hero's name, not knowing what else to do. I can see the panic in her eyes. A powerful aura appears around the guy. She throws her attacker aside. A bright flash of yellow light sends the would-be assassin crashing to the floor. Her friend had already recovered. She grits her teeth nervously, unsure of what to do next. Tan Zian asks the brunette to run away because they came for her. The hero also notices that he cannot leave his girlfriend. After that, he corrects his words that he will not leave her in this life. He takes off at the second attacker, who has already taken a fighting stance. The girl throws a roundhouse kick. Shu King avoids it by ducking just in time. After that, he immediately strikes back because the opponent has opened up. The guy's punch finds its target, sending the girl flying to the nearest wall, breaking chairs and tables in the process. The first attacker wakes up. She attacks the hero from behind. In the jump, the girl strikes him with her palm on the back. The brunette didn't budge from him. The attack passed, but he didn't even show a hint of pain. Shu King turned his head in the direction of the first opponent with a predatory grin. The girl goes after her friend. They lose consciousness, no longer having the strength to resist. It is worth noting that they were badly hurt. Tan Zian decides to clarify whether the guy is a member of the family of practitioners. Shu King gives a negative answer, claiming that it is difficult to explain, but he is an ordinary person. The girl doesn't know what to say to that. She just doesn't have the words. The guy takes her hand, noting that they can talk later, but now they need to leave because it's not safe here. He then asks the interviewee to contact her family to take care of the 2. As the couple walks away from the restaurant, the dark-haired man leans on the girl, clutching his wound. It becomes difficult for him to move around on his own. Shu King holds the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Tan Zian nervously asks if he's okay. She immediately offers to take him to the hospital. The guy says that everything is fine, and this is just a small scratch, which will soon heal itself. In his mind's eye, the hero makes a note that even though those 2 weren't that strong, they were still able to injure him as if they were using a magic weapon. He makes a mental note to be more careful next time. The representative of the fair sex notices that the brunette, it seems, already knows a lot about her family. The guy also says that he wanted to know about her family after he met someone, so the interlocutor should not think anything superfluous. Tan Zian decides to find out who Shu King met. He calls the name of the person who started it all. This is Lai Yue. The girl, hearing the name of this person, understands that the interlocutor was attacked. She notices that he is in danger. The brunette also emphasizes that she should not worry, because someone like him is not a match for the hero. Tan Zian is a little shy about it. The guy's self-confidence endears her, so she decides to ask why he saved her. The brunette scratches the back of his head, not even sure what to say. In his mind's eye, he knows that the reason is because she was his lover in a previous life, but he can't say that. Shu King says that he felt like they had known each other for years, so he would sacrifice everything for her, even his life. This makes the other person blush. She tries to cover her face with her hands to hide her embarrassment. Shu King also says that the girl may think that he is doing this for personal gain, but as long as she believes him, he will help in any way he can. After that, the dark-haired man notices that he knows that Tan Zian's family is going through a difficult time. A representative of the fair sex decides to trust the guy. She says that her family is known for producing medicines. Dozens of pharmaceutical companies report to them, but a month ago, their family's prescription was stolen, and at the same time, several other families began to put pressure on the Tan family. Tan Zian notes that they investigated and found out that the Lai family is behind all this, who wants to marry her to Lai Yue, thereby absorbing the Tan family. Shu King ponders the situation to himself. He doesn't like the fact that the Lai family is once again involved in a strange scheme. They want to destroy the Lai family and devour the Tan family. The brunette understands that they are taking on too much responsibility. The hero grabs the girl by the shoulders, asking her to trust him because he can help his family. Tan Zian doesn't believe the guy's words, so she asks him again if he can really help. Shu King talks about how he wants to solve their problem. In his opinion, this is very easy, because you just need to get a new recipe. Tan Zian notes that this is easier said than done, since the Tan family has more than a dozen research sites in this city, but in 20 years of research, they will find less than a dozen new recipes. The brunette claims that he has a couple of recipes, but we can talk about this later. He informs her that there will be an auction in a couple of days, after which he will meet with her family and they can discuss everything. Tan Zian accepts the offer. Chu King bends abruptly. His heart skips a powerful beat. The girl runs up to him, worried about his health and asking what's wrong with him. The hero clutches at his heart, remembering that this time he marked Yi Chengxi with Reiki, but now something suddenly erased the mark. Reiki is a type of alternative medicine that uses the technique of so-called healing by touching the palms of your hands. Chapter 1:25. The hero apologizes for having to go. Before he leaves, he tells his companion that if he is not at school, she should inform Lin Dong that Chu King should be asked to leave the teacher. The girl asks the guy to wait, but he does not have time. He dials a familiar informant, starting a conversation. The guy tells Huahua that Yi Chengxi is in big trouble, so he asks her to track her phone. A representative of the fair sex declares that she will now do everything and send it to his phone. After that, Chu King dials Jia Yu's number. The guy immediately asks the hero if he has found something valuable. The brunette gives a negative answer, noting that he wanted to ask for a favor. He needs a car. The interlocutor immediately clarifies that Chu King, claiming that he will pick him up. When he gets the address, he hangs up. Jia Yu informs all visitors that the auction house is closing for today. The guy gets into the car and rushes at full speed to his friend. While Chu King is riding in the car with a friend, he receives a message from Huahua. In it, the girl says that Yi Chengxi's location has changed again. The hero is given a new address, which he shows to Jia Yu. The son of the owner of the auction house, looking at the point on the map, understood how to get to this place. He asked his friend to prepare for a quick trip, and then stepped on the gas, braking off at maximum speed to the destination. When they come in to overtake the van, Wu Chu Kin gets a strange feeling. He activates his ability, literally sensing that Yi Chengxi is in this particular van. The hero asks a friend to stop the van in front. Jia Yu doesn't say anything. He steps on the gas and starts to pass the van. Overtaking the van, the son of the auction house owner abruptly blocks the car's path, standing across the road. The van, in order to avoid an accident, moves off the road, hitting a tree. Chu King gets out of the car, watching a huge column of black smoke through which the silhouette of a van can be discerned. Two guys get out of the van. They have guns in their hands. They are trying to recover. Chu King confidently walks towards them. His sword appears in his hands, and the energy rages around him. The kidnappers, noticing the hero, point pistols in his direction. One of them gives the command to fire. They pull the trigger at the same time. However, the bullets do not have time to find their target. Chu King disappears in a yellow flash, starting to move at an incredible speed. In one spurt, he deals with two opponents. The kidnappers fall to the ground, losing consciousness. The brunette walks confidently towards the van. His sword disappears, becoming a talisman around his neck. As soon as he touches the van's handles, he gets a bad feeling. For a few moments, the entire sky turns as dark as night, and all the energy of the sun hits the van in one powerful beam. Chu King manages to jump back, avoiding a direct hit. The sword reappears in his hands. Two men come out of the fire towards him. The hero realizes that a simple person cannot do this. He begins to suspect that someone in this world is practicing immortal martial arts just like him. Chapter 1:26. One of the men starts a dialogue. He notices that Chu King is still young and inexperienced, but already has good skills, so the unknown person suggests that the guy join their Quanjin sect. The hero declares that he has never heard of such a thing, but even so, he will not join a sect that has spawned scum like the two of them. The second unknown person cedes at such words. The insult to him hits him hard. He demands that his brother stop talking, because this kid insulted them and their teacher, so he must die. Chu King compares himself and the two men to a mountain and small fry, noting that they need to learn a couple more years to go against him. These words infuriate the two brothers. A less patient brother can't take it anymore. A powerful aura appears around him, after which a spear is formed in his hand. He snaps at the hero, saying that he has no right to insult him and his brother, so the boy is now paying for his long tongue. Chu King takes a defensive stance, preparing for the opponent's attack. Their weapons touch. The man tries to push through Chu King, but the latter easily overpowers him, knocking him back. At this point, a crack begins to spread across the opponent's staff. He can't believe his eyes, starting to curse at the guy for daring to damage his weapon. The dark-haired man takes off, throwing a punch in the air. The man covers himself with his staff, so as not to be cut in two. Chu King mockingly asks what will happen if he breaks it. As the two weapons touch, the crack on the staff starts to widen. A moment later, two pieces of what was once a single staff fall to the asphalt. It pisses a man off. He clenches his fist, imbuing it with the power of solar energy, and then with a growl hits the guy with it, wanting to send this kid to hell. A few drops of blood fall on the asphalt, and the two brothers are heavily pressured by Chu King's aura. A second later, the hot-tempered brother's hand falls to the asphalt. Both understand that their opponent is not as simple as it seems. The victim begins to panic from the loss of a limb. The second brother decides to intervene in the battle, blaming the hero for wounding his brother. A black and white yin-yang circle appears behind the man. From the sky, several bolts of purple lightning fall on the enemy, causing a powerful explosion. When the dust settles on the ground, the attacker is presented with a terrifying picture. Chu King is holding it, my bleeding brother by the neck. He asks to save him. It becomes clear that the hero covered himself with the body of the defeated enemy from the attack of the second enemy. The guy throws aside the carcass of a crippled man, noting that if you want to set foot on the path of cultivation, you must do good, and kidnapping a girl is not. The remaining enemy concentrates all their forces for a decisive attack, declaring that the boy will not live. The man soars into the sky, intending to use lightning again, but at the last moment he notices that the brunette is no longer on the ground. Chu King was behind him, and with a quick movement, he plunged his sword into his opponent's chest. The man turns his head in the direction of the guy, not believing that this is possible. He starts falling down, saying that their teacher will avenge them. Chapter 1-27. Chu King sends them to the van, which was not damaged in the heat of battle. Inside, he finds Yi Chengxi sleeping, then starts to wake her up by gently tapping her cheek with his palm. The girl comes to her senses abruptly. She has a very serious look in her eyes. She grabs the guy by the shoulders, asking him what he's doing here and where the other two are. She notes that they are too strong, because she could not cope with them, so the guy should run. At this, the hero grabs the interlocutor behind her back, pulling her to him. Chu King hugs a member of the fair sex, saying that everything is fine now and she has nothing to worry about anymore. At this moment, the battlefield next to the wagon opens up to Yi Chengxi. The fire had already gone out, but there was still smoke from it. She sees the carcasses of two defeated enemies and calms down, hugging the guy in return. When the hero pulls away, he decides to clarify whether the girl has any guesses about who is behind this. Yi Chengxi speculates that the Lai family might have done it. She reveals that her family has recently officially started a war with the Lai family, but with each skirmish, they bring in several masters, forcing the Yi family to retreat. The brunette also understands why the Li family has been moving so fast lately. The guy has an idea that they are working with Taoists from the mountain. Yi Chengmi shares her thoughts. She is well aware that these men are difficult to call ordinary. They are very strong, just like the two who attacked her, and definitely not from a family that practiced ancient martial arts, as they didn't even have a breathing technique. A representative of the fair sex admits that now she will not look down on men. Chu King says he understands her perfectly. He also notices that the girl's family was not in the best position. Yi Chengxi confirms the source's words, saying that in addition to the Lai family, outsiders and small families also create problems for them. The hero suggests that it might have something to do with the Shizhen auction. If this is the case, it all fits together, as it is an obvious reason why families have become more active. The girl thinks about the guy's words, then notices that this is quite logical, because if the Lai family found out something and attacked them, they did not allow the information to leak further, so that they did not have time to prepare. Yi Chengxi hugs the guy, declaring that he is the best, and kisses him on the cheek. After that, she pulls away, asking Chu King to come with her, because she needs to go home and tell everyone what happened, and Mom is constantly looking for an opportunity to thank him. The hero puts his hand on the head of the interlocutor, deciding to gently stroke. This is more confusing for the fair sex. Chu King accepts the girl's invitation, deciding to go with her. Night falls when they manage to reach the Yi family's home. Yi Chengxi enters one of the rooms with the guy. In it, 3 girls are sitting at a table. One of them is the girl's mother. She politely and with a smile asks the young people to come and sit down. In addition to her, there is a second aunt of the girl and another woman in the room. It is the last woman who demands to stop. This surprises the Yi family head a little, so she rushes to clarify what's wrong. Unknown explains that strangers are not allowed to attend meetings of their family. The woman points a finger at Chu King, noticing him. The fact that he is also a man. This angers the brunette a little, but he decides not to get into the conflict, asking to calm down and stating that this is not what he is here for. Chapter 1-28. The guy notes that he did not come to attend their secret meeting. Yi Chengxi's mother doesn't like these words. After all, the guy messed up her entire plan. She wanted to use this opportunity to introduce him to the family to sort out her daughter's engagement, and now it's almost impossible. A triumphant chuckle comes from the stranger's lips. Chu King pulls out a yellow pebble from his pocket, stating that he came to talk about cooperation. The hero immediately throws a pebble to a stranger, offering to take a look. She examines it, noticing that it does not look like an ordinary stone. The head of the Yi family is in a hurry to find out what it is. After that, the sister passes the object to Yi Chengxi's mother. The guy says that he calls them spiritual stones. After that, he asks the woman to perform a breathing technique and feel the power flowing through her body. The trio rises from their seats. The head of the Yi family steps forward to perform this breathing technique. She decides to trust the guy. The woman feels an extraordinary surge of strength. Everyone present feels these changes in their relative. They sweat nervously, realizing that the stone turned out to be a very difficult artifact. Yi Chengxi's mother also asks how many more stones there are in Chongqing. He wants to buy them all if the price is reasonable. The brunette also notices that spirit stones are not sold directly. The unknown woman immediately takes a fighting stance, not understanding whether the guest decided to joke with them or not. Chongqing asks me to let him finish. He explains that these stones will appear at auction in a couple of days, and based on their average price, he will be able to sell them to his aunt at a discount. The hero is in a hurry to tell us that this is not the main goal of his visit today. It turns out that he came to sell them protective amulets and elixirs that can strengthen a person for a short time. Yi Chengxi's mother has a satisfied smile on her face. The second aunt snaps at the words about a short time, and the third woman rushes to find out how much they can strengthen. Chongqing says 30%, while the stranger is in a state of shock. The head of the Yi family is in a hurry to clarify how long their production lasts and what about the price. Chongqing explains that the amulets are produced quickly, in about a couple of days, and since he is doing this to help their family, he suggests that Auntie set the price herself. The guy then says that it will take about a week to produce the elixirs, and after he hands them the first batch, they can already set the price. The unknown aunt does not understand why the unknown young man helps them so much. The hero puts his hand on Yi Chengxi's shoulder, stating that the reason for his help is their friendship. From such a gesture, the girl turns red with embarrassment. After that, Chongqing leaves the Yi family's home. The girl sees him off. She admits that at first she only wanted to use him, but now they have become good friends and he has even helped her and her family. Chongqing realizes that he is even beginning to enjoy living in this world. He understands that after the auction, with the support of 7 Yi, he will start his business in Jinmen. The hero returns home late at night. The hero is surprised to notice that his parents are waiting for him in the hall, along with some strange woman who smokes right in the house. She introduces herself. It turns out that this is the second aunt of the hero. Her name is Chongqing. The guy greets her gloomily, mentally cursing about what is happening. He doesn't know what the hell is going on here, because he's never heard of having such a relative. The second aunt notes that the guy has a cute face, and then declares that she came to marry him. Chongqing can't believe what he's hearing. He's only 17 years old, so it's not clear what kind of wedding we're talking about. Chapter 1-29. Chongqing notices that he hasn't even graduated from high school yet, so he suggests that we return to discussing this issue only when he graduates from university. Second aunt didn't. He understands why sending him to university, because he is only a man, so it would be a waste of money. The dark-haired man mentally curses, because it pisses him off that in this world women are more important than men. Chongqing shifts the subject, determined to find out where Chu Zio is and if she's still in graduate school. The hero's mother honestly says that her daughter spends all day lazing around at home. The guy assumes that she is still sleeping in her room. Second aunt takes a drag on her cigarette, noting that this is a real shame. She thinks it's all the fault of her upbringing. The woman claims that their mother raised them differently, so the sister's children behave like this. The hero's father decides to move away, saying that he will go make tea. Seeing his father's exhausted face, Chongqing becomes angry. Mentally, he notes that she talks too much. He would have hit her like that if he'd had his way. Chongqing continues his unpleasant monologue. She stresses that she doesn't understand what her sister sees in this man, because it would be great if she listened to them and married the heir of the Liu family from Heishi. At this point, the sound of the impact makes the women jump in place. They turn their attention to Chongqing, who has slammed his fist down on the table. He apologizes, claiming that he just saw a fly on the table. Chongqing gets up from her seat, claiming that it's time for her to go, but this time her sister will have to explain herself or she knows what will happen. The second aunt puts on a coat. I advise the hero to enjoy the last year of school, because after graduation he is unlikely to have too much time before the wedding. Chongqing also decides to clarify why he should listen to a woman. The same one decides to explain that the well-being of his family depends on this, which, as soon as the main family brings you together with some rich woman, will greatly improve. The brunette notices that he will not do this, because with money he is doing well. This greatly angers the second aunt, but the guy decides to continue talking. He points out that if money is really so important, then why not sell someone else's leg? Chongqing, hearing such nonsense, said that her sister should check her son with a doctor since he thinks about such things. The mother does not understand what has come over her son, so, calling him by name, calls him to stop. He gives his mother a sidelong glance from behind him, then goes to his room. The hero recruits Yi Chengxi, deciding to address his problem to her. At night, Chu King goes to a bar. She gets drunk, and under her hands she has two young guys who pour her alcohol. At this time, she is being watched by another member of the fair sex, who is communicating on the phone with Sister Yi. She clarifies whether they should limit themselves to one leg. Yi Chengxi asks to let her think for a while, then claims that they can grab another kidney. Chapter 1:30. Morning comes. Chu King is sitting in a meditation position, concentrating on a few pebbles in front of him. They hover over the bed under the influence of his power. The hero understands that the city has become quite restless, and his mother's family has started to create problems for them, since he still has time to create protective artifacts for his family and friends. The guy picks up a stationary knife with his power. After a moment, the knife flies into a round object, in which something happens to it. A huge purple magic circle appears above the hero, from which yellow energy begins to come out. After some time, it dissipates. In his mind, Chu King notes that the jade pendants made from Jia Yu's materials are not bad, because they contain a lot of protective swords and alert him when the owner is in danger. After a while, the hero sits down to eat with his parents. The father declares that the son must study hard to pass the exams well. The guy doesn't know what to say to this, because it's a pity to look at a man. He has black eyes and looks very tired. Chu King decides to cheer him up, stating that he knows everything very well and should not worry, because he will work harder than ever. My father laughs nervously, noting that as long as he is happy, they will be happy. The hero announces that he has a gift for them. He pulls 3 different shaped amulets out of his pocket, emphasizing that they are for mom, dad, and sister. Parents take gifts in their hands, feeling a strange flow of energy. The father immediately decides to clarify where he got them, because they are so pleasant to the touch. The brunette reports that he found them in one of the temples. Chu King goes to school. The next lesson begins. He sits at his desk, feeling lousy, because he's been working on artifacts all night and is very tired. The reason for this is his stupid mortal body. The girl at the back of the desk tries to wake up the hero, noticing the fact that it will be bad if the teacher sees him. At this time, the teacher approaches the poor schoolgirl, who is clearly dissatisfied with the conversations in the classroom. A hand falls on the guy's desk, causing him to interrupt his sleep. The teacher finally noticed that he was asleep. She mockingly asked if he had had a good night's sleep, then invited him to the blackboard so that he could demonstrate his knowledge to the entire class. A sleepy Chu King walked out to the blackboard. He picked up the chalk in his hand and began to examine the problem. The guy noticed to himself that he was sleeping the whole lesson and did not listen, so he does not know how to solve it. After reading the condition carefully again, he recalled how Song Kaoran had already explained to him how to solve such problems. It's the girl who tried to wake him up before the teacher came. The brunette quickly sketched out a solution, then put the chalk back in its place. It tells the teacher that it is finished with the task. The woman does not understand how this happened. There's a commotion in the classroom. The teacher does not understand how the guy could solve everything so quickly and even without mistakes, because he slept through the entire lesson. She pulls herself together, stating that even if Chu King is good at math, he can't sleep in class. The guy notices to himself that all his life he studied poorly, so it's not clear at all when he managed to become a smartass. Realizing that in terms of knowledge, she will not be able to punish the guy, the teacher decides to go the other way. She points out that Chu King does not hold any position in the class, and she has a free position as a class representative. The guy tries to somehow dodge the extra trouble, but the interlocutor lets out her ominous aura, clarifying whether he has any objections. The hero only nervously replies that everything is in order and there are no objections. Chapter 1:31. The hero again buries his head in the desk. He manipulates one of the amulets. He understands that it is faster to finish the amulet's promise to the family, because they can save the wearer from a deadly attack. According to his preliminary estimates, each of them will cost about 30,000 yuan, but the guy is not sure how much he can make in such a short time. Suddenly, a friend's hand falls on Chu King's shoulder and he offers to go eat. The hero loses concentration for a moment, but he still manages to suppress the explosion. Black smoke begins to billow from his hand. A friend points out that you can't play with fire in class. The guy turns his back on his friend, watching what happened. He knows it's not bad, but he's not up to the others. Chu King hands a sword-shaped amulet to his friend, stating that this thing can save his life from danger, so he should keep it a secret. The interlocutor accepts the gift, saying that he also has something for a friend. He starts looking for him behind his back, then hands him a bottle of Coke. Chu King is angry, grabbing each other's ears, because the Coke bottle isn't even intact, so it's not a gift at all. A friend notices that he has come to him on business. Then the hero lets him go, specifying what business he is talking about. The interlocutor says that in a couple of days there will be a sports festival at the school, and since, after defeating Tan Xiang, the hero became a school star, he should take part. Shu King doesn't have time for this, so he refuses, but his friend notices that the video of their match has already spread around the school, so even if he doesn't go himself, the teachers will force him to play. In addition, the friend stresses that Shu King needs to keep good memories of the school festival because they are already in their senior year.